Hello and welcome back to the Football Terrace. We're going to touch on a few transfer rumours circulating around social media today. The main focus being the Bruno Fernandes situation. More twists, more turns, more statements being made by the world, its media, and also their dog. Big announcement expected on Sunday the 4th of August, after the Portuguese Super Cup, regarding the future of Bruno Fernandes and his pending move to Manchester United Football Club. We'll delve into that in more detail later on in the video, but before that, please do us a big favour, hit the like button, please hit the share button as well. It's the very best way that you can support us here on the channel, and a massive shout out to our title sponsors, the Football Index. You can download their app, whichever phone or whichever kind of network you use, using our exclusive link in the description below, and use the promo code Football Terrace to claim your £1,000 money back guarantee, and also to receive a 10% bonus on all deposits you make in your first 30 days. Now, we know this Bruno Fernandes situation has had lots of twists and turns and plot changes, trials and tribulations. What we're now being told, now, DiMarzio have a number of exceedingly credible journalists that work with him. David Amoyle is one of them, and he has claimed that Manchester United have a total agreement in place for Bruno Fernandes. Personal terms have been agreed. The clubs have now finalised the price. There was just one simple stipulation. I don't really understand why they've done this, but Sporting Lisbon did not want and do not want to conclude the deal, complete the deal, or announce it until after the Portuguese Super Cup this coming Sunday. And as I'm recording this, we're only, 30 odd hours away from that game taking place. So according to him, after this game, so either on the Sunday evening or first thing on Monday the 5th of August, Manchester United and or Sporting Lisbon, whoever announces it first, we don't know, are going to go public with the information that Man United are going to be the new club of the Portuguese sensation that is Bruno Fernandes. And the first point I want to put out to all of you, and question really I want to pose really is, how do you feel about that? Man United fans, what new dimension, what new angle will Bruno Fernandes bring to Manchester United? What will he give the club and the team, and of course the supporters are part of that, that isn't there now, that does not exist at Manchester United? And from a rival fan's point of view, we've of course seen Harry Maguire sign and join the club and improve the defensive unit no end. AWB has joined and improved Manchester United no end. To add Bruno Fernandes to that mix, a goal-scoring, creative, technically gifted, young central midfielder, over 30 goals scored in all competitions last season. As rivals, how does that make you feel? We all know that any new signing that comes to the Premier League may not adapt straight away, or may not hit the ground running, or may find it too difficult. We've seen this happen numerous times over the years. But let me just pose this question to you. If he doesn't struggle in England, if he moves and he hits the ground running, and you suddenly have AWB and Maguire making Man United stronger at the back, conceding 15 to 20 goals less in the Premier League this season, if you then give Paul Pogba what I think he needs more than anything else, you give him a player that is going to remove so much of the pressure around scoring goals and creating the opportunities in Bruno Fernandes. What does that mean for Manchester United? I want your opinions and your viewpoints on that, because that's the main reason why we exist as a platform. So I'm going to jump in here and pick up some of the tweets that have gone out regarding the Bruno Fernandes situation. This is the exact words that come out of David Amoyle's voice on a podcast yesterday. He says here that Bruno Fernandes will almost certainly move to Manchester United after Sporting Lisbon's match against Benfica on Sunday. And that's a very bold claim for him to make. And some of the responses to that from Ben here, who says, fantastic news to go along with Maguire. And if Dybala comes as well. What a window for United. A few people asking, is he a credible source? So let me just tell you this now. David O'Moyle is a hugely credible source. Hugely credible. The fact that, for me, he isn't some fly-by-night merchant. He isn't somebody that's just going to throw it out there for popularity. The likes of David O'Moyle, DiMarzio, all these individuals, they only throw out information that they believe to be the truth. They're not doing it for popularity. They care hugely about their credibility and the accuracy in the reports that they make. So if they're making the claim, the only way it turns out to be wrong is if they have been purposely fed the wrong information by real senior people at the clubs that they have a connection with and that they know and trust. And we know that happens, by the way. So we always throw that in there. And Sporting Lisbon have been awful at it. Say awful, from their point of view, it's a positive. But from a fan's point of view, it's awful at leaking the wrong information. They told everyone that the deal was done with City. They told everybody weeks ago that Spurs had hijacked the deal and bid £70 million. All of this turned out to be very untrue, and it's delayed the process massively. DiMarzio and David O'Moyle seem very confident on Bruno Fernandes joining United. Whilst this is the point I'd make here. So DiMarzio and David O'Moyle seem confident of Bruno Fernandes joining United, while other sources indicate otherwise. So there is also this really weird scenario at the moment where you've got the likes of Simon Stone at the BBC point blank refusing to state that Man United have ever been in for Bruno Fernandes. So the contrast in this story between the BBC and DiMarzio is night and day. Sky Sports have also reported in recent times that Man United weren't ever in for him or the deal's dead. But then interestingly, all these same outlets still use the headline Man United hijacked when Spurs get involved. But the irony is if Man United have never been in for him, Spurs are not hijacking Man United, are they? So I do find it a little bit strange. And of course, there's probably some logic behind all of that. Another journalist here says, all confirmed after the Portuguese Super Cup, Bruno Fernandes will leave from Sporting to Man United. For him, he is ready to sign the contract and will be paid £6 million per year plus bonuses. And again, that's huge. That is it's not a huge amount of money, not in the current scheme of things. But if this is indeed true, what a weekend Manchester United fans are in for. Harry Maguire through the door. Dybala exceedingly close. Just some legalities to be sorted out with the previous owners of his image rights. Dybala coming to Man United. And then Bruno Fernandes. I'm hoping this is true, because if Bruno Fernandes becomes a Manchester United player, listen, I'm not going to go over the top. We're not going to win the league next season. I cannot see that in a month of Sundays. But what it does do for me, I think it almost guarantees Manchester United top 4 football. I think it pushes us well in front of Arsenal. I think we will leapfrog Chelsea. And I think we'll be maybe just behind Tottenham. And Tottenham themselves have a really good squad. Sorry, I've just seen a wasp and I'm absolutely petrified of them. And it was looking at me. Sorry. Spurs have had a decent window so far and will probably pull off a signing or two more themselves. But at the end of the day, with these players coming into Manchester United, with the quality we already have, keeping Pogba, keeping De Gea, keeping Rashi, Martial looking absolutely on fire in pre-season, working hard and training hard. The new defensive signings that we've made to stop the volume of gold being leaked, we're making that top 4. But what this does, and more important, what this does to the team, which is even more important than that, it gives us that foundation to achieve our mid to long-term goals, which is to become Premier League champions again. And I think that's a 2 or 3 year target away from challenging for a Premier League title. But you need to take the steps. You can't just go from 0 to 100. You can't go from being 6th to being champions for me in one fell swoop. Not when there has been such a gulf in quality between ourselves, Man City, and of course Liverpool Football Club in recent years. You may diminish the points gap slightly, but in terms of quality of the team, we are some way behind that. So it is going to take a little bit more time, but it's time that I think Man United. It's time that Man United have given themselves by signing these players, because the fans. I know. How do I put this? Fans don't want to wait 2 or 3 years for their team to be competitive again, and I understand that. But if in that 2 or 3 year period you're qualifying for the Champions League, you're scoring goals, you're conceding less, you're entertaining them, people are happy to go along for that ride. But the end result has to be we're going to win titles again. What I don't want to fall into is this, I'm just happy because the football's attractive again. That's just, for me, that's a prerequisite of generating and producing a really good football team, is that you're impressed and happy with the way the football goes. So, good football, Champions League qualification, domestic trophies, that's all expected as part of our longer term goal to get back to being the best team in England and being a European powerhouse. And these signings are one of the major steps in doing that. Of course, the other aspects have already been addressed. Relinquishing and relinquishing all the power away from the players, removing player power, getting discipline back, improving fitness levels, improving the morality and the principles and behaviours and values of the squad, and the way players and the way the team act as a collective. That has been hugely missing from Manchester United for a number of years. The dressing rooms have always been, for me, have been fragmented for a long time. There hasn't been a clear direction, and the principles of Manchester United were eroded to dust, and that all needed to be rebuilt, and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has been given the power to do that by the club. And there are still things that need to be improved. Directors of football, I'd still believe more football people need to be involved with the club at a board level and decision making level. But you can't change everything in 6 months. You simply cannot do that. From where we were to where we are now, there have been improvements. And again, this looks like it may be, and a few of the comments here saying this looks like it's going to be a great window for Man United. In terms of personnel yes. However, this business, in my view, should have been done weeks ago. The Dybala situation is kind of only just reared its head, so I get why this is happening now. But the other deals, Maguire, just bid the 80 million. Should have done it 5 weeks ago. The same with Bruno Fernandes. So there are still aspects of Man United's operation that needs to be improved. But the end results, United are going to looks like United are going to have an exceedingly good summer transfer window. See what a few people here have got to say about this. I'm actually just going to search Bruno Fernandes. Just search Bruno Fernandes here on Twitter and see what the Twitter world is saying about this. I always like to do that. Lots of people just quoting David El Moyle. This is an interesting take as well. Something that Luis Nani has said. He says, Luis Nani says, so these are words from him. So this, again, also helps Man United. You've had Cristiano Ronaldo pushing Dybala towards Man United, telling him he needs to sign. And now Luis Nani, of course, ex-Man United player, Champions League winner with the club, says, I often say to him, in quotes, Bruno Fernandes, with the strength you have, if you train a little more, you will explode and drive the English crazy. England is where he will shine. And that's a real interesting thing for him to say, because, of course, Luis Nani understands the English Premier League. He's spoken about it before, that although he's enjoyed his time at La Liga, he's obviously now in the MLS and he's enjoying all of that football, the Premier League was something different for him. And it's interesting what he says there about he needs to train a little bit harder. He might be talking there about maybe getting a bit fitter and a little bit stronger, because we know to play in the Premier League, it is a more physical league. It's more demanding than what he'll be used to playing in Portugal. And those are some of the reasons why it often takes players a year or so to adapt. And if we look at Liverpool Football Club, I think that's why we're going to see the best of Naby Keita this season. I think it just took him a little bit of time to settle into English football and get used to the pitfalls and the ups and downs. And Man United have had that. If you look at Patrice Evra's first 6 months at the club when he joined in the January, it looked like an awful buy. It turned into one of the best left-backs. Some would say the best left-back the club has ever had. So I think there's elements there surrounding Bruno Fernandes that are interesting. But I hope Luis Nani is right. If he can come over here, Bruno Fernandes, and be 80% of the player that he has been in Portugal in terms of outputs, just 80% of what he's done, again, just for me, secures Man United inside that top four. If you add a midfielder that's banging in over 20 goals a season, and you couple that in with Martial's goals, Rashi's goals, what Dybala will do, what Pogba's going to produce, It's exciting, and don't think anybody can deny that. Even the most bitter rivals couldn't. Let's do a few more things here. Let's see what a few more people are saying about this. This is an interesting one. It says the club like Manchester United should have no problem signing players like Bruno Fernandes, Maguire and Dybala, but the Glazers and co have no ambition to win top titles again. Can't believe our fan base fall for their brainwashing. I understand where you're coming from. I think they want to win trophies again. They just haven't got the club in a situation where it's easy to sign these players. And what I mean by that is, of course, there's a financial restraint. Even though we make so much money and we're so wealthy, there is still the restraints because of all the debt and all the money they take out of the club. If you look at the £1 billion that's been removed from the football club over the past 10 or so years, imagine if that had been invested in the squad. Equally, they are accountable for the board. They're accountable for who runs the football club day to day. And those people, for me, have not been up to scratch over the last 6 or 7 years. So I think there is the ambition to win, but they haven't set up their culture, they haven't set up their strategy well enough to be able to do it. And that's the issue. And in terms of the management, they want to win top trophies, of course they do. But they're being hamstrung. So again, I completely agree with you. I'm not going to be brainwashed by these signings. If we pull these signings off, I'm not going to suddenly not want the Glazers to sell up and sell to better owners. I'm not going to suddenly love Ed Woodward just because we pulled them off. These kind of signings, listening to managers, removing player power, these things are I've used the word already, but I'll use it again. These things are prerequisites. They should be there regardless, and I'm not going to. I'm thankful they're coming back, and I'll credit the fact that they're listening and they're changing it. But I'm not going to praise them for doing what should be a standard. Which should be a standard every single time Man United take the field, every single training session, and should be part of our day-to-day practice. And that's whether you are selling programs, whether you're working in the catering side of things, you're a steward, or whether you're the CEO. Those principles, those behaviours, the morality should be there from top to bottom, inside out, week in, week out. And as soon as those standards start to slip, it's down to the likes of Woodward and even more so the owners to ensure that they are any kind of breaking of these rules are dealt with swiftly. There is zero tolerance to them being broken, because that way you run a tight ship. Listen, I appreciate everybody tuning in as always. Do me a massive favour, hit the like button, hit the share button as well. Take care of yourselves, God bless, and we'll see you all again soon. Bye bye.